Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking into something that, well, it might raise an eyebrow or two for many of you. We've been looking at a YouTube video. It's from the channel Vlad Savchuk, and the title is Ex-Yoga Instructor Tells All, Is Yoga Demonic?
Yeah, that's a title that definitely grabs your attention. And it's an interesting question given how common yoga is today.
Right. So many people use it.
For exercise, stress relief, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So this idea that it might have a hidden spiritual side, maybe even a negative one, it's certainly worth exploring.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, our goal here isn't really to take a side. It's more about trying to understand the arguments being made in this specific video.
Right.
We want to, unpack the speaker's perspective. She
Right.
was a yoga teacher, now sees it very differently. And we just want to lay out her key claims about yoga's spiritual nature.
And what makes this particular source kind of compelling is her background. This isn't just someone, offering an opinion from way outside.
Sure.
We're hearing from a former certified yoga instructor, someone with hundreds of hours of training.
Wow.
And she's gone through this really significant personal journey, which led her to, a completely new understanding of the practice from her point of view.
Okay, so let's get into it. Right at the start of the video, the speaker puts these direct questions out there.
Yeah, she asks,
Is yoga actually demonic? Is it actually something to be concerned about? Or is it a bunch of just paranoia from these religious Christians thinking everything's demonic?
yeah, it really sets the stage, doesn't it? It frames exactly where she's coming from now.
It does. And she starts answering these pretty quickly, really through her own story.
She talks about being this, passionate yoga instructor, focusing on healing.
Right, the healing aspects.
And then how, after what she describes as being saved by Jesus Christ, her view completely shifted.
Yeah, she came to see yoga as something much more than just, physical activity. She calls it a whole different animal.
That's a huge shift, going from being so involved to now seeing potential danger.
Exactly. And one of the first things she emphasizes is the actual word yoga. Her interpretation is that it means to be yoked with or to be united with.
And that interpretation is really foundational to her whole argument, isn't it?
Seems like it.
Because it immediately connects the physical side, the postures, to some kind of spiritual goal.
Right. And she links this to ancient Hindu texts. She mentions the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita specifically.
Yeah, texts she considers, core to Hinduism, exploring ideas about consciousness, the divine, that sort of thing.
And she highlights this concept within those texts of being yoked with the universal consciousness, the goal being the individual soul merging with it.
Which then brings up a really interesting point she makes herself.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Well, she acknowledges that most people walking into a yoga studio probably aren't thinking about merging with universal consciousness.
Probably not. They're there for the workout, right? Or flexibility, maybe stress relief.
Exactly. But she argues that even if your intention is purely physical, the practice itself still happens, in her words, under a greater covering, under a greater mission of yoga.
Okay, and that's where the problem lies for her.
That seems to be the core of it. That's where she contends it becomes completely anti-biblical, completely anti-Christian.
And potentially leading to what she calls extreme demonization. That's quite a statement.
It is. And this is where the video really takes a turn that might surprise people who just see yoga as exercise.
How so?
She claims that many yoga poses, the asanas, they aren't just stretches. She believes they are actual physical postures used to worship specific Hindu gods and goddesses.
Oh, wow. Like who?
She mentions Shakti, Shiva, Ganesha, and even says sun salutations are a form of worship in this context.
Okay. But does she acknowledge the physical side at all? Like the fact that they do stretch your body?
Yes, she does. It's important to note, she says some poses definitely offer genuine physical benefits for the body, organs, the nervous system.
So she sees the benefit.
But she makes a sharp distinction between those physical results and what she believes is the original spiritual intent behind certain poses and sequences.
Got it. So in her view, the true religion of yoga, as she puts it, goes way deeper than just stretching.
Precisely. And she cautions against other practices often linked with yoga, like meditation or seeking an inner light.
Why those specifically?
She suggests these can lead to what she calls a New Age version of yoga, which might look compatible with Christian beliefs on the surface, but in her view fundamentally isn't.
This seems to be a really central part of her warning.
Absolutely. She believes this spiritual side of yoga actually has demonic origins.
Demonic origins.
Yeah, she asserts that literal demons created this spiritual discipline and that the Vedas, those ancient texts, came about because ancient sages received what she terms divine revelation about merging with Brahma, the universal consciousness.
Okay, that's a very specific claim about the origins.
It is. And she definitely sees yoga's huge popularity today, not just for exercise, but also for some as a form of spirituality, as feeding into this broader New Age spirituality that concerns her.
So following that logic, the practice itself is the danger.
That's her argument. She warns that practicing yoga could mean opening up doors to demons.
Opening doors? How?
She suggests they might gradually influence thoughts, maybe lead people away from Christian faith over time. It might not be, sudden or dramatic.
Except she did mention something about specific types being more intense.
Right. Unless, she says, you're doing certain types like bhakti yoga.
What's her issue with bhakti yoga?
She describes it as literally chanting and summoning these gods and goddesses, worshiping them. And she believes doing that gives demons instant access to your soul. She even claims to have seen this happen.
Wow. Okay. And what about Kundalini yoga? She mentioned that too.
Yeah, Kundalini. So traditionally that focuses on awakening an energy at the base of the spine.
Right. I've heard of that.
The speaker here describes it as involving a serpent energy, the Kundalini coiling up the spine towards enlightenment. And again, she makes a strong claim.
What is it this time?
She says she's personally witnessed demons being cast out of people who practiced Kundalini yoga.
So very intense experiences she's relating.
Definitely. And she frames a lot of this within a larger idea, what she calls the master of the devil's deception.
Okay, what does she mean by that?
She describes it as using like 90% truth and the 10% falsehood to mislead people.
How so?
People might be genuinely looking for good things, like true love or peace, but this deception in yoga, as she sees it, leads them away from what she believes is the real source, Jesus.
I see. So, based on all this, what's her advice for Christians who might be practicing yoga?
It's pretty direct. Ideally, she says, they should stop practicing yoga altogether.
Just stop completely.
That's the ideal she presents. She suggests finding other ways to stretch, exercises that aren't, under the covering of yoga, or led by teachers dedicated to its spiritual side.
And what about the benefits people do get from yoga? The peace, the calm, feeling better.
She addresses that. She argues those things, peace of mind, healing, even productivity, should be sought through Christian practices instead.
Like what?
Like prayer, going to church, meditating on the Bible, those sorts of things.
And what if someone says, but yoga does make me feel better?
She raises the possibility that any positive results, any good feelings from yoga could actually be part of the deception.
A tactic, you mean?
Yeah, a tactic by the devil, in her view, to lure people away from Christ, away from what she considers the truth.
So for her, it's really crucial to understand what yoga actually is, beyond just the physical moves and, people's good intentions.
Exactly. It's about understanding its perceived true nature and origins.
And the video ends with a kind of call to action, doesn't it?
It does. She suggests maybe creating alternative practices, things that offer the physical benefits people like about yoga, but without what she sees as the negative spiritual connections to Hinduism.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. To bring it all together, the core argument in this video.
Yeah, the speaker's main point is that yoga, fundamentally, is a spiritual practice rooted in Hindu theology.
With that ultimate goal of uniting with the universal consciousness.
Right. And she believes many poses are actual acts of worship to Hindu deities.
And that participating, even just for exercise, could open you up to negative spiritual influences, potentially leading you away from Christian faith.
Exactly. And this whole perspective is deeply shaped by her own personal journey, from yoga instructor to devout Christian.
It's definitely important to remember, like we said at the start, this video presents one very specific theological viewpoint on yoga.
Absolutely. There are, as you know, many, many different perspectives out there about yoga, spirituality, how they intersect or don't.
So listening to this, it really gives you, the listener, a chance to think about your own beliefs and experiences.
How do these arguments resonate with you? Or perhaps, how do they clash with your understanding of yoga's history, its philosophy, or your own practices for well-being?
Which leads us to maybe a final thought to ponder on your own. We all seem to want physical and mental well-being, right? That seems pretty universal.
Seems like it.
So how do different practices, different belief systems go about addressing these needs? And what role does the spiritual or philosophical context play in those approaches?
Yeah, and how do we make sense of these diverse worldviews when we encounter something like yoga, which is practiced in so many different ways by so many different people?
It's definitely something to think about, maybe exploring the historical roots, the philosophical underpinnings of both yoga and, whatever framework you use to understand the world.
Good food for thought.